Hello everyone, I am Rod and I am the game design instructor for the Academy of Entertainment Arts over at Dixie Hollands High School. If you are one of my students, it's Mr. Flowers to you, and welcome to this video tutorial.
Hey there everyone. In the last video we went over how to make some clothing, but I didn't go over how to make shoes, and I thought some folks might want to actually know how to do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make boots for him. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to grab a cylinder, and you can do this out of a cube or whichever, but I'm going to pick a cylinder just because it's already round at the tip. And shoes are kind of round at the front and the back, so I'm just going to take a cylinder and sort of elongate it. Let's see, radius. That's probably fine. Now, as for my height, depends on how you make it. If you do from the heel up, the height doesn't have to be very high. You just extrude. If you do it from, like say we do it from the actual height of the boot and then taper it in, then it'll be a little bit different. I think from here, I'll probably do that method. So I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to go into a front view. Here's my cylinder. I'm going to go into material attributes and make it transparent so I can see. Bring this over the foot. And a shoe or a boot, depending on what you're making, is a little bit bigger from the bottom of the foot. So adds about an inch or two. If you're making like a flat, if you're making like ballerina flats or something, it might be directly to the foot, but these are boots, they have a bit of a heel. Got my side view here. Right. There's that piece. I'm not going to keep the subdivisions very high. I'm going to take that down to, I think about 6. Yeah, that should work. And now it's just a matter of shaping it to how I want it to be. If I want this to be a shoe, I'm going to want the front of this to be out. So pull that out in front of the toes here. This central line I'm going to pull up. About the middle there. And I will arrange this so that it is more centered. I happen to have symmetry mode on. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. Tool settings, symmetry mode. Turn that off. I'm going to grab these caps. And I don't need my pants for right now. I'm going to go ahead and turn those off. Scale this in. And I lost a little bit of depth on that leg there, so I'm going to just scale this out in Z. Just so it looks like the shoe wraps around the leg there. Now a shoe is bigger than the foot, so unlike what we did before where we captured part of the body and then duplicated the faces, I'm just gonna make this out of this shape here. Alright, so go ahead and start adding in my other subdivisions. We'll go into edge mode, shift, right click, go down to insert edge loop. And I'm not going to make the heel just yet. I'm going to make the the neck of the boot, and then I'll make the arch of the foot. So neck of the boot is kind of like here. I'll grab these around. Actually, I'll just pull them from this side. Okay. I'm going to check the width here. And grab those two edges, or two vertices on either end. I'm going to just scale those in a little bit. Just how that is centered on the foot. Okay. I'm going to add in my next edge loop. Right about the middle of the arch here should work. Go in vertex mode and grab this one about there. Taper that in. And then in perspective mode, I'm just going to move these how I think they should be visually, based on the shape of the boot. And we know that shoes tends to shape the foot, so I'm going to taper that in just a little bit right there. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to take these edges here, hold shift, right click, I will connect component. That gives me this central piece. I'll grab those and I will scale them so we have that inner lip of the boot there. And then I will remove these inner edges. That way this is a quad. Go into vertex mode. I will get rid of the extra vertice. Or extra vertex, I should say. That closes that off. If you want this to kind of dip into the boot, that's fine. I'm not going to worry about that right this second. Okay. Similarly, on the bottom of the shoe here, I'm going to remove these edges, and then I'm going to cut across. So this edge, we don't need them, and we don't need these. And this central one here, I'll get rid of that vertex. Edge mode, and I'll grab my edge loop tool. And I'm going to add an edge loop. Before I add one on the bottom, I'm going to add one here, right at the foot there. That way I can bring out the toe of the shoe. Now I'll go back to my insert edge loop tool. I'm going to add the loop on the bottom here. This is going to be what separates the heel, or the sole of the shoe, from the rest of it. And I'm just going to shape the rest of the shoe here. So this can go in some. These here at the toe can come out. These ones here can come out. Check my heel. I'm going to grab these back ones, this back group here. I'm just going to use that to center up on the heel. You can see the curvature of that starting to take place. Now as I look here, I have a lot of empty space around the foot. I don't really need that much space. I'm going to edge mode. Select those. Just going to pull those in. Vertex mode, I'm going to grab this vertice, or vertex. And these ones I will taper. Okay. I'm going to smooth preview just to see how this is going to shape up. And it looks like it's going to work pretty well. Okay. Back in the rough mode. I'm going to add, and actually I'll do it this way. For my sole here, I'm going to select these faces. And I'm just going to drag this up like that. And then I'll extrude downward. So go into polygons, and I'll extrude. I'll pull that out. And where it says keep faces together, I'm going to set that to off. And then I will taper this. There we go. Now on my boots, this rubber sole tends to come out a little bit, so I'm going to pull it out. Okay. I'm going to go into smooth preview. And I'm going to look at how I can refine this shape. Looks like it's going to go into the foot some. So I'm going to grab this edge, pull it out. Once you start modeling in smooth preview, you don't want to go back to rough mode. It's just going to be a pain. Just because everything we do here is going to be a little bit different than what we do over there. And grab these and pull these out just a little bit. Same thing with that pinky toe. Grab those vertices. Pull this out. I'll pull it back. I'm going to grab these 4 vertices here. Just pull them a little bit more. And I'm just trying to get the foot to really fit into the volume of the shoe. That's not as crucial as you might think, though, because we don't have to render the foot. We could, with your model, depending on the type of game, make your character modular and have the feet be hidden when the shoe is drawn. It's actually cheaper in resources to do it that way. But if you're going to have the shoe actually on the foot, then you're going to definitely want to make sure that the volume fits correctly. So there's that piece. I'm going to get in these vertices, pull those in. check my heel. Grab these two, pull those out. I can see on the ankle that my ankle is coming through the boot there, so I'm going to grab that. Pull those out just a little bit to shape the ankle. And I'll pull this one in. Same thing on this ankle, I got to pull this one out. I think I'll pull that out as well. And then these edges here, I'm going to grab those all at the top. I'm just going to expand those. I go back into rough mode. I'm just going to extrude these faces inward. So extrude, and I'm going to go in. This will give the impression that the shoe has some depth, and if you're looking at it, so if we go back into smooth preview here, and we're looking and we catch the ankle or whatever, you can see the boot protruding into the shoe. Alright, I'm going to grab these inner edges. And I'm going to scale those in so the boot hugs the leg. Make sure we save our work. Alright, for the heels, I'm going to pull these out so that they're a little flatter. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to select them. I'm going to use the crease tool, so let's hold shift, right click, grab the crease tool, and I'm just going to middle mouse click and drag, and that's going to make that edge pretty solid. So that retains that hard sole looking shape. Do the same thing with the heel. Just going to crease that out. Now, if you are dead set on having this straight, you're going to have to add some subdivisions in here just to harden this edge to make it straighter. I'm going to go into vertex mode here. See how there's no edge here? Yeah, in order for us to straighten that out, we have to add an edge loop. I'm going to go into rough mode. Select an edge. I'm going to go into get my edge loop tool. I'm going to put this right in the middle. Go back into smooth preview. Whoops. And you can see already this edge is starting to harden out. So I'm going to grab this, and this time instead of creasing it, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to grab that vertice now, I'm going to pull that in. And you can see as I pull it in, it starts to get that heel shape. I'll do the same thing for this part of the foot. I'm going to add an edge loop actually right along here. I'm going to go to edge mode. I'm going to go back in the rough preview. And what I want to do, since this part has to flex when the foot bends, I want to ensure that there's going to be an edge here. I'm going to try to put an edge right here. And that almost does what I wanted it to do, but not quite. So that needs an edge there, and I need one more right about here. I'm going to delete what I don't need. So, for example, these ones I don't need. All right. I'm going to cut those off. I'm going to get rid of those vertices. I'm going to select the whole thing and just hit delete. That'll get rid of the extra vertices we have. Now this edge has to go all the way around the foot, and this edge can stop here. It'll make a quad. So I'm going to grab this multi-cut tool. I'm going to cut from here. It won't let me do a straight cut. So cut, 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 and cut. Right click. So that goes all the way through. And then this one can stop here. Let's look at a smooth preview. Yeah. And that looks like it'll flex. But I did end up getting blocky on the foot here. I'm going to grab this group here, see if I can round that off just a little bit more. Grab those. Grab these ones in the middle, I'll pull those out just to give some curvature. Okay. So there's my boot. Go back into object mode. Make sure we save real quick, because Maya. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hop out of smooth preview, and I'm going to go and actually smooth it. So under mesh, I'm going to do a smooth. One set of subdivisions should be fine. I'm going to go back into object mode, hit OK. And that should work just fine. As far as the other details like the laces and the tongue, we can paint that on in Photoshop. So, yeah. Now it's just a matter of setting up the UVs. So I'm going to go into my UV panel. And this is what it gives me. But it's not really good for defining what the shoe is. So I'm going to cut this pretty much around where all the seams are. So we have a seam for the sole, and then we can probably just do a seam in the back. I'm going to grab the shoe, and let's see, what's the best area to project from? I'm going to project from the top. UV, planar, Y-axis. I'll hit apply. So there's my shoe. I'm going to go into edge mode, and I will grab, let me go into material attributes real quick. Whoops. Bring the transparency down. You can see that I'm clipping through the shoe there. Just grab that edge. I'll pull it out just a smidge. Alright. So in edge mode here, I'm going to take this edge group that is where my heel is, or my sole. Just double click, should be able to get all the way around. Let's go back into UV mode here, or in the UV panel. Go to polygons, go down to cut UV edges. I'm going to go into UV mode, I'm going to double click. That should separate the heel and the shoe. When I select the heel, I'm going to go ahead and grab my smooth tool. Let's see if this will unfold. Okay. If it goes inside out, we'll just hit this little flip tool. And then smooth. Oh, go back into UV mode. So there's that piece. I'm going to try to unfold this. Unfold. Now this would work to paint on. There's no real harm in it. However, it's hard to tell that it's a shoe. So I think what I'm going to do is this. Alright, and that should be good enough to paint on. It's not exactly shoe-like, but it'll do. So I'll set these up here. Go back into object mode. Fix this issue that I'm having here. Actually, I'll just grab this center one. That should work. Okay. So there's one boot. And I'm going to just duplicate this or mirror it across the axis. Alright. I'm going to select my geometry here. Go to Mesh. Go down to Mirror Geometry. Alright. Now this isn't the way that I want this. I want this boot to be over here. What I can do is I can come down to my pivot X and I can just slide this over. Like that. And if you look at the numbers here, as I'm getting closer and closer to the other foot, I'm actually getting closer and closer to 0. So I'm just going to type 0, and that should be exact on my foot. Sweet. All right. There's both boots. You can see they're combined. I don't want that. I'm going to go up to Mesh. I'm going to go down to Separate. And I'll go ahead and I'll clear history. So select the boots, Edit, Delete by Type, Non-Deformer History. Also do the history on the body here. Edit, Delete by Type, Non-Deformer. I'm going to put the pants back on, see how they look with the boots. They seem to be working. My goal is to have my pants tucked into the boots, but if you're going for a pants over the boots, then you'll have to adjust that. Alright. I'm going to jump back into my UV panel for one quick check, make sure that everything is aligned as it should be. So shoes and shoes, they both share the same UV shell. I'm going to go ahead and put these on the map here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat both boots as though they're a pair. Technically, you only really need to paint one boot, and then just mirror it over. It's up to you. But I will treat both of them like a pair. What if you wanted to have rainbow stripes on one side and a checker pattern on the other? You know what I mean? So I'm going to double click. I'll grab this sole and this top. And I'll put this top with that sole. So I'll swap these around so I know which boot is which. select them both, get them both on this UV shell. So I'm going to turn this, like that. Turn this one the other way. They'll fit together. And it should give me enough room to get these on. All right. So there's our UVs for our boots and our boots. Now when you go to paint these, I would select both and take a UV snapshot of both pictures here and just let these guys use the same texture map. Or if you really wanted to, you could add them to the clothing texture map and have the entire outfit right there. But I'll leave that option up to you. And I will see you guys in the next video.